Okay, so I've got my credit template drawing open. I always close out of this drawing one. It's annoying that they do that. Now the first thing you want to do, since it's a .dwt, which is a template, is you want to do a save as. So you could just shift control S and go to your OneDrive folder. Construction 2 projects, TTU Credit Union, O2 CAD. Now we want to make this a DWG, so we're going to click down here and change that to a DWG. And we're going to call this LS101 underscore hard underscore plan. What's important are the first letters and numbers. Firms will name them different things after that. Hard plan just means hardscape. Hardscape's not a real word, so I don't like to use it. Okay, so I'm gonna hit save. And I am gonna click yes. Okay, because I already had one there. All right. Okay, so now what we want to do, let's open up our base plan. Okay, so just do a Control-0 or a Control-O. All right, and open up your base plan. And this really should have said land base. Okay, but that was my fault, so no problem. We're going to open that up because when you're working like this, you're going to be jumping between a lot of different files. Your planting plan, your hardscape plan, and the base, okay? A lot of times it's going to be your boss that has the base, and you're going to have to modify based on that, but in this case, you're going to have control over all this stuff. Okay, so what I'd like you to do in your base plan, all right, I want you to open up your layers. You could just type layer, not layers. And you can see I have a ton of layers, all right? Now that we're pretty much done with drawing the base, let's run a purge and eliminate all the layers we don't need. Okay, so I'm going to turn everything on, and don't worry, they'll never get rid of something you've drawn. It's just going to get rid of empty layers and stuff that you don't really need. Now uncheck confirm each item to be purged and check purge nested items. Hit purge all and then hit close. Now, you should see a dramatic change in your layers. I had already done it, so I didn't lose as many layers. But you don't want to have a file full of blank layers, so that purge, yeah. Sure, just click the uncheck confirm. Yeah, and then purge all. Now watch your layers when you're done and hit close. Purge all. Yeah, they make you do it else. Yeah, now watch your leg. See? Now that's nice. So when you extract that in, you're not bringing in a whole lot of baggage. Okay. Hit close. There you go. All right. Oh. I know. Trust me, I do all that too. All right, now do a Control-S to save that. And leave that drawing open. Now, one thing I want to show you guys, I should have done this on the video. Working on top of imagery can be very frustrating because of CAD's stacking order system, okay? So this is going to help you guys a lot because you're going to be doing a lot of drawing on top of imagery. for conceptual projects and all kinds of stuff. So what you want to do is select your image. You want to right click it, all right, and under display order, send it all the way to the back. Okay, now go over to that layer and you're going to want to lock it, and then you regen and all your line work pops to the top. And you can't select this. Here's the problem with CAD stacking order. When you send something to the back, as soon as you even mouse over it again, it jumps to the top. So it'll drive you nuts. So that's, and then you can fade the image up at the top. You have to do that before you lock it, but I faded this quite a bit. Okay, so let's do a Control S again. Okay, now let's go to our LS101. That's going to be the name of our sheet, okay? And this is going to be the Hardscape Plan. So let's go to our model space, double check our units, make sure decimal feet, and 3 zeros in the precision is plenty. You don't want to have your dimensions drawn out anything past that. Okay, so now let's make a new layer up here, and we're going to call this X, should be all caps, X dash, we're going to call this base land. No, just call it base, okay, because it's all of our bases combined. In the future, you're going to have base arc, base civil, base land, okay, base survey, okay, and you'll XREF all of those guys into here. Okay, so let's make that the active layer by double clicking on the status symbol. Okay, and now let's type XREF. Oh, it's over here. Okay, and we are going to attach a DWG. And okay, now here's something that's handy. I should have done this before. You don't want to spend a lot of time searching for things, okay? So construction to projects, TTU credit union. I'm just gonna drag this over here and create a nice shortcut, okay? And that helps out a lot. Okay, so what we're gonna XREF in is the base plan, and just choose open. And now we want all of this unchecked because it's gonna go right at 0, 0, 0. This is super important, guys, okay? All of your drawings will stack perfectly on top of one another if you leave this all alone, okay? Because if the origin point is 0, 0, 0, it doesn't matter if it's way out in space, it still has the same origin point for all of your drawings. So you don't want to just pick a point like you would with a photo and then stretch it out. Okay, so click OK. All right, and then all of your other stuff comes in there with you. And the reason I create layers personally for XREFs is I just find it a lot easier to turn the XREF on and off when I don't need it, okay, rather than use the layer manager. Now, in this case, we want to get rid of the underlying photograph, the ortho image, okay? So I think you guys all know this, but it's super helpful. You don't want to be looking at all your, you can look at just your non-XREF layers or just your used layers, and then you can look at your just your XREF. So I know I locked this image down, So that's the layer I want to freeze off. Okay, perfect. All right, now let's do a Control S. Okay, now I want to show you briefly the patterns that exist within land effects, because once you realize how they do things, it just becomes a lot easier to work with that software, because really they follow the same rules for all of these tabs. Okay, so when you click on a tab, the ribbon unrolls for that tab. So at the end of each ribbon is the manager. Okay, so here's FX admin. Here are your project, this is your project manager. If you go to FX site, here's your ref note manager. Okay, now if you go to planting, okay, you guys get the point. And we will be using details, and there's the detail manager. Okay, so let's start with FX admin. We're going to go to project manager. Okay, and we are going to create a new project. Now, I would like everybody to follow this naming convention, just so I can keep track of your work. So 2025-01, today is the 22nd. Okay, now please put your initials at the end in caps. Okay, and then for the name of the project, TTU Credit Union, and then your initials in caps. Okay, we'll take care of this stuff later. You do want to be in imperial, okay? We'll be using feet or decimal feet, okay? And then just click OK. Okay, so now it's making this in the background. Okay, and you can just click OK again. We're going to add all of our sheets here. Okay, but we don't need to do that now. We don't have any. And just click OK one last time. Okay, now the next thing you want to do is set the scale. It might already be set for you because the viewport is at 20 scale. So it should say 1 inch equals 20 feet. And just click OK. The scale tool is up here on the far end. Okay, so let's do a Control S. So far we're good to go. All right, now what we are going to do, since this is our hardscape plan, all right, we are going to open up FX site. And we are going to go to ref notes. Okay, now I want to show you how similar these guys are. Sorry about that. Planting go. He's always jumping on this other screen. Okay, I just want to show you guys how land effects works at a really basic level. Okay, so anytime you open up one of these tabs, you're going to be given a manager over here. Okay, now for the plant manager, if you click new, okay, you can search through their library of tens of thousands of plants, okay? And a lot of these have good data to go with it, okay? This one, obviously, not a good example. But a lot of times they'll tell you water use, hardiness zone, all of that stuff, okay? So the plant manager, when you click new, has a lot of things, and you're never really gonna have to create a plant from scratch because they've done all of that work for you. Now, for the FX site, sorry, I can't. See my FX site tab. Okay, here we go. Where the hell is it going? All right, I think this got screwed up with the screen recording. Just give me 1 second. I'm just gonna fire up Civil again. Let me pause this video. Well, I'll just open it up. It's this Camtasia nonsense. Okay, and we're back. All right, FX site. Okay, now you're really going to use three of these throughout this class, okay, throughout the semester. Site is all of your hardscape stuff, planting is obvious, and details are something I think you're going to learn maybe for the first time this semester. So planting is nice because they have that library of tens of thousands of plants and all the data associated with them. But for FX site, you really need to start each item from scratch, okay? Now, before you click new, you need to figure out what type of material or what type of construction are you doing. Okay, now for example, if it's steel edging, you're gonna do length. If it's curves, you're gonna do length, okay? For sidewalks and for parking, we are gonna do volume, okay? And we're gonna calculate the cubic yards. So let's start with that. So we're gonna click on volume, and then we're gonna click on new. And you're never gonna need to mess with this stuff down here. Always just choose generic and custom. And all we're gonna do here is pick a hatch. Okay, so for this one, you're gonna go to detail. And this is gonna be for our parking lots. So I'm gonna choose the first hatch, which is kind of the biggest, thickest concrete hatch. And I'm gonna click OK. Now we don't need to choose a color because CDs are always in black and white. And this is important to note, your line type ends up going on no plot, okay? And that's gonna make sense in a minute. But just leave that alone. And then for your call out, make sure that's a screen fill, okay? And that gives you a white background behind the number. And I personally like this arrow, and this is one time where I do like a drop shadow because it just helps it pop. Okay, now we need to write the note from scratch. So we're gonna do 6-inch thick. And these have to be in all caps. Concrete, parking, lot, reinforced with 6 by 6 steel mesh. Okay, we're going to leave that at number 1. We're not going to mess around with divisions for this project. Now, this is really cool, okay? You can put a cost per cubic yard in here. And I'll tell you something, guys, the people at firms that understood costs and could do cost estimates, they always got promoted quickly, because at the end of the day, a big part of the game is just the money, okay? All right, not in a cynical way, but you know, these things cost, this thing probably costs $2 or $3 million to build at least. I mean, probably more. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is give it a cost of $2.25 a cubic yard. Now for depth, we're gonna put 0.5, okay? That's half a foot, okay? Oh, it says inches there. Okay, that's why that other one was messed up. Okay, so I don't know why they do that. Okay, so we're gonna put 6 inches because that's just how they're doing it here. Okay, now does everybody have this? Is there any questions? What's that? Okay. And this can always be changed, but 6-inch thick concrete parking lot reinforced with 6 by 6 steel mesh. Okay, great. All right, now we're gonna hit okay. Okay, now I'd like you to zoom down into this southwestern parking lot. I may be missing a few islands. Okay, I think I am, but I'm gonna show you how this works. Okay, so what we're gonna do, the cool thing about this is you don't even need to worry about creating a layer, because Land Effects is gonna throw your new line work onto a no plot layer. So type in B Poly. All right, click OK, and just click in that parking lot. All right, and you should have a nice polyline in there. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna select your reference note, and you're gonna choose place. Okay? And then select your new polyline. Takes a little bit of time to get the hatch loaded, and then you're good to go. Now, anytime you see this, what is this, like a purplish color, that's a no plot layer, okay? So there's no point in making a new layer, which is really nice, okay? It kind of takes care of that for you. Okay, let me come here to, because the layer management system in here, it's not the best. So see, this just comes into border no plot. Okay. Now, I'm gonna show you how to do the curbs. There's a couple of ways you could do those, okay? But for the curbs, we do need a layer, because curbs are priced per linear foot. So we need to put all of the curb lines on one layer, and then Land Effects is going to calculate the total linear footage that's on that layer and tell you how much that is. And also, if you put a cost in, it'll tell you how much that's going to cost. So let's do, before we do that one, the curbs, let's do the sidewalk parking, because we're right here and we got volume. So let's do new. And same thing, just jump over to detail, grab a finer hatch, click OK. Let's change this to screen, and there's a way to do that in the back end, but I'm not going to worry about that now. Okay. All city sidewalks are 4 inches, kind of cheap. We're going to do 5-inch thick concrete sidewalk reinforced with 6x6 steel mesh. Okay, now the cost here, what did we do on the last one? 220. Okay, this isn't going to be as bad. The sidewalk forming isn't too bad. Let's do 170. Okay, and now for the depth, we're going to choose 5 inches. Okay, and what's really cool, guys, is down the road, we're going to be able to choose the details, and it's all going to kind of work together. Okay, let's choose okay for this. All right, now, all we're doing, do you see my blue line here? That's civil engineering. We're just doing everything from the back of their road, okay, to our property, okay? So we are gonna do these sidewalks here. So let's see if I can get a polyline out of this, and that might screw it up, but we'll see. Okay, now the one thing about B-poly, guys, is this is interesting. It took me a while to figure out. The whole boundary that you want to make has to be on the screen. So for example, if I come in here and run B-poly, it's never going to work. You have to have the whole area up on the screen. Okay, now I can tell already this is going to be probably too much, especially with this stretch down here and this stuff here. Okay, so I'm going to close this line off. And I'm going to close this line off. Okay, now let's give it a shot. Come in as much as we can. Type in B-poly. There you go. Okay. Okay, let me do that one more time. There you go. Okay, now this is going to be an important lesson down the road, because this is going to, and I think a lot of you know how to do this from last semester, but let's hatch this with our 5-inch thick concrete sidewalk. So select this guy, choose place. There we go. Okay, and this jumps onto a no plot. Okay, but the problem is this is an accessible area here, and it shouldn't be hatched the same way, okay? So what we need to do, and this is gonna happen all the time, okay? This is gonna happen when you have these islands here. You're gonna hatch this whole parking lot, and your grass islands are gonna be filled with concrete. So this is an important tip to know. When this happens, select your hatch and then come up here under the hatch editor and choose select and click on that line. Now this, shoot, see, that has to be a closed polyline too. So let me show you a better way. I mean, this needs to be a closed polyline as well. So what I'm going to do here is just a B-poly it. And I know it's been a long morning, guys, but we're heading down the stretch. Okay, so here. So now let's do this one more time. Select your note, place it. Okay. Now, we don't want that hatch the same way, so you just click on your hatch, come up here to select, and then you can either select this with your little square, or I like to use this, and boom, now it's gone. And again, that's very, very important, because you'll be facing that dilemma quite often. Okay, So let's do a control save. Now I want to show you the value of this, and then I want to show you how to do the let's do the curbs first, okay? So open up, if you don't have it open already, your base plan. Okay, so I'm gonna take off my aerial image. Now, here's how you're gonna do the curbs. In here, in your base plan, make a new layer, okay, and call this LS for landscape site dash curb. That's all you need. And you need to make that active, so double click on the status. Okay, now come over here. Let's pick a line weight that's fairly fine. Red is good. So I'm just gonna go from white to rojo. Okay, now there's a couple of different ways to do this. This is the way I found it to be most effective. You cannot offset a line from an XREF, okay? Now there's a way you can do things like end copy, where you bring this line in and then you offset it. To me, this is easier. Okay, so to do your curbs are 6 inches wide, okay? So what you're gonna do is type O for offset, 0.5, and then you can keep going around here, okay? And you need to do these little islands. Okay, now I may have missed a few, but for now this is good. All right, so now what we need to do, LS curb is active, just make a polyline. Does anybody know if you can offset to a new layer? Because that would really help. But anyway, make a line from your LS curb layer, type MA for match properties, select your line, and now start picking all of your curbs, and that puts them on the correct layer, okay? Now there's a funky curb situation here. I'm not gonna worry about that too much right now. Okay. Now what you're gonna do is we're gonna do something called layer isolate, one of my favorite commands. So we're gonna just choose lay ISO. Okay, and we're gonna select our curbs. Okay, and one of the best ways to learn how just to work with CAD is to learn how to get any unnecessary line work off your screen. Okay, and sometimes you only need to work with 2 or 3 layers at a time. Okay, so now let's first, whenever you're going to transport something from one drawing to the next, whether you're going to use copy or cut, you need to enter that command first. So do a Control X and select all of these guys and then hit enter. Now come to your Hardscape Plan, all right, and this is one of my favorite deals. Right click, go to your clipboard, paste to original coordinates, and boom, they're there. Okay, that's a super great command, paste to original coordinates, if all of your drawings are lined up, and yours should be. I mean, I saw your base files, everything should be okay. All right, now we're going to do this last note. then you guys can get out of here. I know it's been long. Yeah, let me do that again for you guys. Okay, because this is, okay, so these are all my curbs. All right, and you have to do Control X first. That's cut, okay? And you select these guys and then you hit enter. Now that loads all of that information onto the clipboard. Okay, now you jump over to your Hardscape plan, okay, and you do a Control V for paste. Sorry, you don't do that. You right click and you go to clipboard and you choose paste to original coordinates, and it just snaps right into place. Okay, now this note number 3, we're going to do a new note. Okay, and we're not going to do volume, we're going to do length, because again, curbs are priced by linear feet. So we're going to go to length, we're going to go to new, and we're going to type in 6-inch wide hand formed curb, comma, no gutter. All right, now no division needed. Cost per linear foot, let's go to 12. Okay, and now this is how it all works for linear stuff. For your length, you choose the layer, in this case LS curb, and it calculates all of the line work on that curb. Okay, and again, you don't need anything in the 2D or because you're not doing a hatch. And let's just change this call out to the screen fill, hit OK, boom. And now you're completely done with your curbs. Okay, now remember, when you go to do your B polys for your concrete, freeze your curb layer off, okay, because you're going to want to hatch all the way to the end. Actually, yeah, no, leave the curb layer on when you hatch your concrete, now that I think about it. Okay, all right, now let's do a Control S, okay, and let's run our schedule real quick. So just click schedule. Now you want to include cost down here. And a lot of times these schedules get too wide. So here you can choose column width, and under the description, I'm going to take that all the way down to 2. All right, and click OK. And then it's going to give me my crosshairs. And there is my schedule, and my total cost so far is 80 grand. Okay, the landscaping alone on this is probably going to come up close to $500,000. Okay, so maybe more. It's hard to get current costs. Some of this might be more expensive. Okay, now listen, I don't want to drive you guys crazy this semester with changing due dates and stuff, but it's going to happen, okay? Because I want to see the progress you're making, but I also want to push you. So what I'd ask you to do is, please, I use Blackboard as kind of the home base for the class, and there's a calendar widget or whatever it's called on the home page. That's always going to have the updated due dates, okay? And I'll also send out an email just to let you know. So what I'd like you to have finished by Monday is this materials plan, and all this is going to include, guys, is the concrete, the curbs, and the brick. And I'm gonna have to get you the notation for the brick, because brick in these situations, cars are driving over it, so the brick is actually laid on top of concrete. So it gets kind of it's a different note than just a patio brick. Okay.
You said concrete brick. Okay.
Concrete brick and curb. Now remember, the concrete is broken out into sidewalks and parking.
Okay.
And I promise I'll keep you guys posted on email and Blackboard as much as possible. And I have a good schedule for the whole semester, and we won't be veering from it. Okay. So, yes, okay. Yes, I recorded this, so I'll upload that, and I'll try and get more of those when I can. Yeah, for now, that's good. The way these guys will do it in the firms is a lot of times they'll do all of the CAD work, and then at the end, they'll do the title blocks and the numbering, because that can change throughout the project. So we'll probably follow that. Okay, so I'm really, it's good to see you guys back, and I hope we have a good semester together. All right, see you on Monday. Yeah, let me just turn this off real quick, this recording.